Hello everybody, it's been a long time. This is the first video I've made on Horror Mike for a while, but I'm back making videos now. If you're subscribed to Mike Rants, you'll already know that, but here I am getting back into doing Horror Mike videos. Alright, so I wanted to talk about the Hobbit trailer that's recently been released. I just watched it a couple of hours ago. I think it's a much bigger improvement on the original trailer which they released. And there were some cool things, I suppose, in the trailer they released originally, but I think with this one it kind of gets you more excited for it. There's a lot of problems I have with the idea of them making The Hobbit. One of the main problems I have is that Peter Jackson seems to be falling into the same pitfall that George Lucas and James Cameron both fell into, which is that they started to become more obsessed with the technology rather than the art of storytelling. And there seems to be stuff, I've heard rumours about how, you know, in Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson used a lot of physical effects, he used a lot of models and things like that, and this time round he's just kind of like, oh no, we don't need that now, we've got computer technology that will take care of it. I'm very sceptical of that. You'll know if you watch my reviews that I believe that you should do everything in camera that you can. Normally optical effects look more believable in my opinion when they're done right. So I'm a little bit wary about that. I've also heard rumours about some of the footage that was shown for The Hobbit. I think it was at Comic-Con, I'm not sure, where people said that it really didn't look very good, and it was because of the whole 48 frames thing. Because if you don't know, Peter Jackson has got to the point where he's saying, right, he's filming this in 3D, but he's also filming it at 48 frames per second. Now, film normally runs at 24 frames per second, and that creates a kind of visual aesthetic. It's not an arbitrary number, really, although I don't think it would matter if it was, you know, 25 or 26 frames too much. But really, the film industry sort of came to use that because if you watch like films in the silent era, you'll see films are really jerky, and they use different frame rates. They also hand cranked cameras and things like that. But as film progressed, eventually they settled on this 24 frames per second idea, and it creates a dreamlike quality to the film, and it's what we now associate with being cinematic. And the problem is that Peter Jackson seems to think that going 48 frames per second means that we're going to have a much better image. Now, the truth of the matter is that you do get a better image in some ways. You don't get like the sort of judder that you get from film. You don't get strobing, which you get from film. Motion will be captured more realistically. But the problem is that we associate the higher frame rates with video, and cheap video at that. So what we get is a film that looks cheap, even if it's not cheap, because of the way it's been filmed with higher frame rates. So I'm very sceptical about that. I know they're saying that you'll probably see it in 24 frames because most cinemas won't show it in 48 frames per second, but I'm still very sceptical of this change. I think no one seems to be listening to Christopher Nolan. Having went to IMAX to see The Dark Knight Rises, Christopher Nolan has been saying for a long time, look, 3D is not the future, and these extended frame rates are not the future. IMAX is the future, and it's completely true. You know, you go to IMAX, when you watch that movie, when you watch Dark Knight Rises on it, you don't want to watch a film in a normal cinema again. Especially the IMAX scenes that were shot using IMAX cameras. They just look incredible, and it's definitely the way forward. But people seem to be more interested in changing the frame rates and the using 3D technology, which I don't mind. I think it's good for filmmakers to have like options, but the problem is that once you make those options, you make a film more about those options than about the story, then really you start to struggle, and you start to take your eye off the ball, which is why James Cameron normally writes fantastic scripts. Avatar was really empty in my opinion. I still enjoyed it enough, It's not a bad film, but it's just really empty. It's really sparse. There's not really much to it. And when you watch something like Aliens, or even The Abyss, Terminator 2, True Lies, you know, he's normally great at telling stories, but Avatar was just really, really sparse because I think he focused on coming up with a revolutionary way of making a film. And if anything teaches us, it should be the example of George Lucas, who has destroyed many a franchise because of this obsession with technology and filmmaking rather than just filmmaking itself. So anyway, back to the trailer, the Hobbit trailer. Now, one of the other reasons that I'm sceptical about the Hobbit is because they are not just filming the Hobbit; they're filming they're taking material from the appendices from like Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and putting them in there, things that weren't in the book really, but they were just like notes that Tolkien left afterwards to fill in little pieces here and there to let you know what had happened. Now, I'm still interested in seeing all of this. I'm glad that they're bringing back Christopher Lee as Saruman. I mean, he's not in The Hobbit, but certainly when the wizards confronted the necromancer, Mirkwood, all that stuff, he is there. But so I don't know how this is going to work. Also, there have been so many production problems. I don't think Peter Jackson wanted to direct it in the first place. It was supposed to be Del Toro, but it just got held back for so long he had to leave, and I think Jackson came in because it would have fallen apart otherwise, and there'd already been so much work put into it. And also this thing is, it was meant to be 2 films, and now, even though they've shot all of it, they're now going to shoot more to make it into 3 films, which just, I don't know, it just definitely rings the alarm bells. I hope I'm wrong. The trailer definitely got me excited to see it. In the trailer we see Thorin Oakenshield and all the other dwarves going to Bag End. We saw a bit of that in the first trailer. We also see some of the wargs. We see some of the, we see some slight battle scenes. We see the group on a mountainside with rocks falling, which was very reminiscent of the when the Fellowship and the Fellowship of the Ring are trying to circumnavigate, is that the right word? Or try to climb this mountain, and Saruman basically brings down boulders and material down top, and it was very reminiscent of that. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. They showed you people like Elrond, who is in the Hobbit originally, who is in the book. It's been years since I've read it, but I certainly don't think Galadriel's there. We see Galadriel. And we also know the likes of like Orlando Bloom's coming back as Legolas. I know Legolas's father was in the book, but they're bringing back Legolas. We see Gollum, which will be interesting. But he is in the original story. He plays quite a big part in one of the chapters, but it's just one chapter really, so it'll be interesting to see how much they expand it. I mean, 3 films, and I'm sure they'll all be like 3 hours long each. So we're really going to get a lot of material thrown at us. I'll be interested to see how much Jackson has put in himself, and Fran Walsh, and how much they've put in themselves, how much they've changed. It'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting. I still kind of, as much as I think Peter Jackson did a phenomenal job with Lord of the Rings, when I watched King Kong, I thought, this is a good director who now no longer has anybody telling him no. There's no one bringing him down to earth. And I mean, that was just far too long, that film. And then the Heavenly Bones, The Lovely Bones, Heavenly Creatures was a film we made before that, years before that. But the Lovely Bones, I thought there were some good things in that, but again, it just didn't quite work, which was a shame because there were some really poignant moments in it. But really, the crux of it is that I don't know if Peter Jackson still has it in those terms. I hope he still does. I hope he's maybe learned from the mistakes of King Kong and the Lovely Bones. But we'll just have to see. We really will just have to see. I still maintain he hasn't made a bad movie. And he did make films which weren't quite as good. Like The Frighteners, I like, but it's not a phenomenal film. and then he made Lord of the Rings, which is just, you know, a phenomenal piece of work. So, you know, plenty of directors ebb and flow in terms of the quality of the work. Look at Ridley Scott. So maybe, hopefully, he's going to pull this off. I know I've rabbled on for ages here, but it's been a while since I've made any videos on this channel. So anyway, other thing I wanted to say was, oh, by the way, I'll leave a link to the new trailer down below. You can go and check that out and let me know what you think about The Hobbit. But the other thing I wanted to say is that I'm seriously considering, now that I'm back, I'm seriously considering doing another 31 Horrors of Mike. It nearly killed me last time, but I am thinking about doing it again. If you don't know what that was, it was a movie review, a small movie review for a horror film every day of October leading to Halloween. I'm seriously considering doing it again. I haven't written up a list yet of films. If I don't get round to doing that, what I will try and do is maybe do like a special longer review of a film every week of October leading up to Halloween. And I kind of know what I want to do on Halloween, so fingers crossed I can do all of that, but we'll see. Hope you're all doing well, and it's good to see you all again, and I will speak to you all soon. So comment below, let me know what you thought of the Hobbit trailer and any other films that you would like me to talk about, or films that are coming up that you're interested in seeing. Let me know. Bye for now. Where's the off switch? I can't find it. You'll know if you watch my reviews that I believe that you should do everything in camera that you can. Normally optical effects look more believable in my opinion when they're done right. So I'm a little bit wary about that. I've also heard rumours about some of the trailer that's recently been released. I just watched it a couple of hours ago. I think it's a much bigger improvement on the original trailer which they released. There were some cool things, I suppose, in the trailer they released originally, but I think with this one, it kind of... Hello everybody, it's been a long time. This is the first video I've made on Horror of Mike for a while, but I'm back making videos now. If you're subscribed to Mike Rants, you'll already know that, but here I am getting back into doing Horror of Mike videos. Alright, so I wanted to talk about the Hobbit technology rather than the art of storytelling. And there seems to be stuff, I've heard rumours about how, you know, in Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson used a lot of physical effects, he used a lot of models and things like that, and this time round he's just kind of like, oh no, we don't need that now, we've got computer technology that will take care of it. I'm very sceptical of that, and it gets you more excited for it. There's a lot of problems I have with the idea of them making The Hobbit. One of the main problems I have is that Peter Jackson seems to be falling into the same pitfall that George Lucas and James Cameron both fell into, which is that they started to become more obsessed with the